Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I have a very interesting and astonishing game that was played between the Torch chess engine and the new chess AI, Princess Chess. I didn't play against Princess because she is more powerful than I expected, and I want to show you her real power in the chess tournament, where she is defeating all the top chess engines one by one. In this game that I am going to illustrate, she sacrificed her queen, or rather, she captured the Torch chess queen very tactfully and strategically, so, stay tuned until the end of the video. She started the game with c4, and Torch responded with knight f6. Here, she could have gone with d4 or g3, but she decided to go with knight c3, g6 followed in the game, where Torch wanted to plant his bishop to dominate the center square diagonal. e6 or knight c6 could have been played to support the center. After e4, d6 happened in the game, which has become the modern approach by modern chess AIs, who want to consider knight d7 c5 or e5. There are many moves possible in this variation of the modern game. In this modern variation, after d4 and bishop g7, Torch is attacking the center, but the problem for Princess is that she has 3 center pawns, and defending all of them is very difficult. She could have planted her bishop on the c4 square, where knight f3 followed by knight g5 could arrive in the future to create some sort of attack, but that did not happen because Princess had 3 center pawns, and Torch immediately struck in the center by playing e5. Here, many players make the mistake of playing d5, but by playing d5, you create some holes in the center where Black can initiate his plan by playing a5, where the knight can swiftly jump into these dark squares, after castling and knight a6. Noticing that the knight can jump into these squares like a frog or a monkey, bishop to e3 might be considered by many chess players, but be cautious, be alert. Knight to g4 can arrive to put pressure on the bishop, forcing you to move your bishop back. Therefore, f5 will arrive to create some sort of attack with the bishop and rook, where the queen's diagonal will be wide open. So, going back to the original position, we discover that playing d5 is a very bad choice. That's why after castling and exchanges occurred in the center, we have rook e8 to put pressure on the pawn. f3 happened in the game to create a pawn chain, and bishop to e3 can arrive because Torch's bishop is not available on c5 to create some weaknesses. Therefore, he responded with c6 to prevent these squares from being invaded by the knight. After knight h5, noticing that the queen's diagonal is wide open and the bishop's diagonal is open, many players might think of considering bishop to e3, but that is a completely rubbish move because Black can actually consider f5, putting pressure on the pawn. A few moves later, Black can eventually consider c5, putting pressure on the knight, and the knight will have to retreat. Black will then dominate the game with his rook, bishop, and pawn. The knight is also there, and the bishop and queen diagonals will also be there to light up the king side and achieve enlightenment. So, going back to the original position, we discovered that playing any sort of normal move is a very bad choice. That's why we have g4, putting pressure on the knight. As the knight retreats, we have bishop to f4, putting pressure on the pawn. The pawn is more likely to become a backward pawn, and noticing Torch has 2 minor pieces that are not yet developed in the game. The rook has not joined, the queen's side pawns have not pushed forward, and Torch decided to play a shocking move that could also shock a patient while he is in bed, h5, invading the king side while white can capture it or push his pawn forward. But do you know what Princess considered in the game? She played a very brilliant move. Can you guess? Yes, that's right, knight to f5, sacrificing the knight like a real queen. But she is a princess, she will be queen after marrying someone. At this point, capturing the knight on f5 with the bishop might seem reasonable to future players, but after the exchanges, the g-file will be wide open, and the pawn on d6 will feel malarial pressure from the bishop and queen. So, going back to the position, the knight cannot be captured by the bishop. Therefore, after g takes f5 happens again because the knight, along with the bishop, was creating so many problems for the d6 pawn. After the exchanges occur, the d6 pawn is still under attack, and the g-file becomes wide open. At this point, believe it or not, the best move for black would be to consider d5 because after the exchanges occur, e5 can arrive to put pressure on the knight, here. The actual best move for black is to consider knight to c6, sacrificing the knight because you need to give up your material to maintain your position, but if you become greedy and try to protect your knight, f6 will arrive, and no matter where the bishop goes, rook to g1 check will arrive, followed by bishop to d3, after d4 and a few piece exchanges, queen to c2 will arrive, protecting the bishop, and rook to g8 can lead to a mate. Therefore, after bishop b4, bishop to h6 will arrive with the idea of playing bishop g7 check, which will lead to a mate, and how can you protect this game? There is literally no way to protect it. But worry when Stockfish is here, let me provide you a powerful motivational quote. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence, the past is a place of learning, not a place of living. So, going back to the position, we discovered that playing d5 is a very bad choice, that is why I decided to just play king h8, although d5 is not so bad, you have to play very carefully. After a couple of moves, you can see that Princess Chess played rook to g1, she is attacking the bishop, putting pressure on the d6 pawn, and creating so many problems for black. Have you ever watched a top chess engine game like this, where white is just dominating black in under 22 moves? This game is much like that. Princess is dominating the game from the opening, and after a couple more moves, you can see that she joined her queen and bishop in the family account, where the three pawns are playing crucial roles in this position. At this point, let me examine what is happening in the heart of Princess. First of all, black dares to consider rook to g8, that will not bring any sort of advantage because after the exchanges, another rook will arrive. Just as 100 demons were killed before Princess was born to replace their commanding, bishop to g7 will arrive to attack those pieces, and you will lose the queen. That's what Princess wants in the game. Going back to the position, you can see that Princess's chess army is playing a very crucial role, protecting each of these squares where the knight cannot protect the territory. The white bishop is claiming the king side as its property. After a5, one move ago, some may consider playing queen to e7, but that is a completely bad move because I can actually consider f4 in the game to kick out your bishop. After bishop to f6, noticing that the e5 square is well protected, the pawn cannot advance, therefore. Bishop takes h5 can arrive. A couple of moves later, queen to g8 will lead to a checkmate, after the knight moves and all the exchanges occur. Consequently, rook to g8 does not create much pressure on the bishop, because after f5 happens in the game, protecting the bishop, you can see that these two bishops will be like a pair of shoes that can hit black's face and ruin his reputation. The pawn will also be under attack, and the position will be completely in the hands of Princess. Going back to the position, we discover that any queen moving activities are not possible. After a5 and bishop g7, we have the piece exchanges and queen takes d6 in the game. Count the materials, we have 3 minor pieces for the queen and bishop, and a knight for the rook and bishop. At the end of the day, it's rook for rook, but let's see how Princess kicks the ass of torch. After a couple of moves, we have rook to g1 and the rook exchanges, queen d2 happens in the game to give a check. And after playing f4, we have the piece exchanges on the board. At this point, playing bishop to c7 is not possible because of the e5 move, where the knight and the bishop will be attacked at the same time. Going back to the position, we have the piece exchanges as you can see. In this position, Princess is trying to develop her pieces slowly but surely, and she needs to conquer these pawns. After e5, slowly but surely, Princess will defeat Torch because Torch has not been enlightened as much as Princess. After a couple of moves, we have the exchanges. At the end of the day, you can see that black is trying to protect his king side. When the knight goes to the f6 square, you notice that Princess has a passed pawn. At this point, Torch decided to resign the game because he literally has nothing to do in this position. He is under the feet of Princess, and Princess needs to conquer the pawn. As the game concludes, I need to show you the checkmate sequence and how the game will end. You can see that Princess is a very strong chess AI that even defeated the Torch chess engine. which is over a 4000 rated engine. I don't know why Princess is just dominating each game with her intelligence. It is certain that she is not cheating, but how can she cheat in the game by using Stockfish 17 or Alpha 0? I don't know, but at the end of the day, White will checkmate Black. I hope you enjoyed the game very much. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.